Hey, Aaron, good to see you.
Good to see you again, Kathy.
All right. All right, so I've got some questions for you. All right. The first one is about escrow. I know you get a lot of questions about escrow. So why don't you just share with us what questions you get about escrow money?
Yep. So the earnest money deposit, which I think is what you're referring to, is I often get questions from especially sellers and the agents that I work with. Um, so the question I get is when we're going through attorney review or the inspection period, the sellers will sometimes ask me, well, don't we get to keep their earnest money if they don't want to move forward with the purchase?
Yeah.
Or the buyers will ask me, if I don't go forward, do I get my earnest money back? Or sometimes the agents I work with will ask me, well, they didn't do what they were supposed to. Don't they get their money? Don't we to keep the earnest money? And it's not as straightforward as everybody thinks it is. Um, there's contingencies in the contract, and if we're still within the contingency period, the earnest money usually gets released to the buyer. It's when the contingency period is over, that the money may not get released to the buyer or it couldn't. It just depends. So, in a nutshell, if we're still in attorney review, an attorney review has not been closed, the money has to go back to the buyer. However, where you could see the buyer losing the money is if they haven't ordered the appraisal and had it completed within the first 10 days. If there's a home sale and close contingency needed, if we look back to 2020, and in 2020, all 2021, and through June of 2022,
Mhm.
you saw a lot of buyers probably saying, oh man, I want our offer to get accepted. Let's not tell them I need to sell my house to buy a house. And if you got a denial letter because of that, or asked for it after attorney review, then the buyer would lose their deposit. Um,
Mhm.
let's say that we didn't agree on something and we try to close attorney review or attorney review is closed and the money should go back to the buyer. Or even if the money should go to the seller, so the buyer did something they weren't supposed to. Even if that's the case, both parties have to sign a release for the money. If I'm holding it, the other attorney is holding it, the title company is holding it, your brokerage is holding it. Nobody can release money till both parties sign. That's the law, unfortunately. So I know we could go on and on about this, but if people have questions, they could reach out to me and I'm happy to discuss this further. But the big takeaway here is until both parties sign a release, even if one is entitled to it, the money absolutely cannot be released.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, right?
It is. It is. And it can wind up having to go to court or
Sorry.
being transferred to the city, or it's not, sorry, the circuit clerk's office to the state. So it just can go on and on forever. So there's some things we can do when we get under contract during the attorney review period where try to lessen that situation for either party. So more questions, give us a call. We'll go over that.
Yeah, thank you. Because it gets confusing.
That
Right?
does.